Andor Season 2 is nearly here, and it's not just building on what came before, it's setting up one of the most important stories in all of Star Wars.
Emergency broadcast, if you can hear me!
This season doesn't just continue Cassian's legacy, it pushes us closer to Rogue One, the Death Star, and the moment the galaxy finally decides to fight back. In this video, we're breaking down everything you need to know before Season 2 drops.
If it goes up in flames, it will burn very brightly.
Whether you've forgotten key details from last time, or you just want to take a deeper look at how this season connects to the original trilogy, you're in the right place. Because this isn't just another Star Wars show, this is the missing chapter in the Rebellion's history. The choices made here, the sacrifices, the people who shaped the fight, they're the reason the Alliance ever stood a chance.
So what do I sacrifice? Everything!
Before we jump in, don't forget to leave a thumbs up on today's video and subscribe to the channel if you want to catch more Star Wars and Andor Season 2 content. Now with all that out of the way, let's dive into the secrets, the setups and the timeline that leads us straight to Rogue One. This is where it all begins.
Welcome to the Rebellion.
Now, Season 1 of Andor wasn't just a slow burn, it was a revolution in how Star Wars tells its stories. Gone were the Jedi, the Skywalkers and the lightsaber duels, and in their place we got something much more grounded. A rebellion not built on destiny, but desperation. This show took its time peeling back the layers of a galaxy living under the Empire's heel, where people didn't rise up just because they were chosen, but because they had no other choice, whether it was Bix suffering in silence, or Kino Loy finding his voice too late to escape. Andor didn't shy away from the cost of rebellion, it leaned into it. And at the centre of it all was Cassian, a thief, a drifter, someone who very much was just trying to survive. But by the end of Season 1, everything changed. After being hunted, imprisoned, and broken down, he made his choice. He walked into Luthen's ship and said 6 words that changed his future.
Kill me, or take me in.
That moment wasn't just a personal turning point, it was the birth of the Cassian we meet in Rogue One, the spy who's willing to do the dirty work not for glory but because someone has to. Season 1 laid the groundwork, it showed us just how far the Empire's grip reaches, and how ordinary people became revolutionaries. Now Season 2 is ready to show us the fallout, the mission, the sacrifices, and the spark that lights the fire. Alright, so Cassian's in now, he's not running anymore. Season 1 ended with him making that choice to join Luthen, so it's pretty clear which path he's chosen. He's very much becoming committed to the rebellion, ready to become the spy we meet in Rogue. But the story isn't just about him anymore, it's about the people pulling the strings and the ones tightening the Empire's grip. So yeah, at the top of that list is Luthen Rael, the man behind the curtain, the architect of sacrifice. He's not just funding the rebellion, he's engineering it. This is the guy willing to burn his soul so others can taste freedom, and with the movement now building momentum, Luthen's plans are likely only getting more extreme. Then there's Mon Mothma, who's given up everything, her comfort, her family, even her daughter's future.
You can't be serious.
All to build something bigger than herself. She's playing the long game, sacrificing in silence while walking a tightrope in the Senate. And yeah, every move she makes now risks exposure, but she knows that change doesn't come without a cost. On the other side, the Empire's not just watching, it's advancing. Deborah Mira's risen through the ISB ranks, more ruthless than ever, and Cyril Khan's obsession with law and order is only fueling the fire. Together they're becoming a serious threat, and with power shifting fast, they're going to be pivotal players in the growing war. And then there's Kino Loy, you really can't forget that guy. He didn't make it out in Akina 5, at least not that we saw. But Andy Serkis has hinted that his story might not be over, so could we see him again in Season 2? That's just speculation on my part. But if he survived, if he's out there, he could be the symbol that inspires others to rise, because every rebellion needs more than just strategy, it needs spark. And all of these characters, they're very much the fuel. Anyways, here's where things get really interesting. Andor Season 2 is set to cover 4 years of story, but instead of dragging it out, they're releasing 12 episodes, each set into a block of 3, with each one covering a year in universe. So yeah, they're dropping this fast, with 3 episodes dropping every week. The entire season is going to be over before we know it. And that makes every single arc, every reveal, and every character decision feel more important than ever.
But if I'm giving up everything, I want to win.
It's all building towards one moment, the opening of Rogue One. Word on the street is this show's going to take us right to the moment where we see Cassian in Rogue One for the first time, so we're not really plugging any gaps here, it's building towards one of the most important stories in Star Wars history. And right at the heart of that setup is the Gorman Massacre. Now if you're not familiar with it, it was the moment Mon Mothma finally snapped. Peaceful protesters were slaughtered by the Empire, and that's when she publicly denounced them and fully committed to the Rebel Alliance. But here's where things get pretty wild, because it might not just be as black and white as it sounds. From what we can see in the trailer, it isn't just a case of the Empire one day deciding to slaughter loads of innocent people. I'm thinking, what if they were provoked? It seems like Luthen's crew were hiding amongst the crowd, staging an attack that made it look like the protesters were threatening the Empire, just to push the Empire into overreacting. It's the kind of move Luthen would absolutely make.
We need them coming down hard. Oppression breeds rebellion.
Sacrificed a few to rally the many, and it would explain why the Gorman massacre is reportedly spread out across 5 episodes. Because if that's kept as what triggers Mon's final transformation, it's not just a tragedy, it's a calculated catalyst. Because if that's true, then the rebellion wasn't just built on hope, it was built on manipulation, on sacrifice, and forcing the Empire's hand. So yeah, Luthen Rael doesn't just build rebellions, he manufactures them from the shadows. He's pulling the strings, moving pieces, and sacrificing everything: his identity, his peace, even innocent lives, to create something bigger than himself. This isn't just about hope for him, it's about necessity. Very much doing what the others won't, so that the galaxy will one day have a chance at freedom. Season 1 showed us what he's willing to become: someone who lies, manipulates, and even gets people killed if it serves the larger mission. Now in Season 2, we're going to see the full impact of those choices, because every spark that leads to the Rebel Alliance, Luthen lit the match. It's through him that Cassian becomes the man we see in Rogue One.
I didn't risk my ass for the Starpath unit. I came for you.
Not a hero with clean hands, but a survivor who understands that the fight doesn't always allow room for conscience. You see, Luthen didn't just recruit Cassian, he forged him. Every harsh truth, every impossible decision, every morally grey lesson, it all pushed Cassian to become the spy who's willing to kill an informant to protect the mission. And then as Mon Mothma, her transformation doesn't happen in isolation. It's Luthen's pressure that forces her to act. He plants the seeds, forces her into compromises, and makes her confront the fact that the Senate won't save anyone. Without Luthen, Mon might have stayed in the shadows, quietly pushing from within. Or maybe she would have called it a day. We saw her flirt with that idea in Season 1. But with him, she's almost pushed to see it through. That's the real legacy of Luthen, not just building a rebellion, but shaping the very people who will go on to lead it. Cassian, Mon, and countless others are the product of his ruthless vision, and whether history remembers him or not, everything the rebellion achieves starts with him. So now that we've seen how Luthen helped shape the very foundation of the rebellion, there's one more question to ask: how far does this go? Because the closer we push to the events of Rogue One, the connections get deeper and the potential cameos become more exciting. Andor isn't the type of show to push a character in for the sake of it, so if any do show up, it'll be because they have a good reason to be there. We already know this season leads right into Cassian's first scene apparently, and with the Death Star project in full swing during this time,
It's a weapon. They're building a weapon.
it opens a door for some massive legacy characters to be there. We already know of a few, like Director Krennic. He's directly overseeing the construction of the Death Star, and with the Rebel Alliance beginning to form behind the scenes, it makes perfect sense for him to step in as a looming threat. Not to mention, he's been long overdue a live-action comeback. Then there's also Saw Gerrera. He's already part of the timeline. And this era is where he fully breaks away from the main rebellion and goes full-on extremist. And we can't rule out Vader either. His shadow looms large over this entire time period. A brief appearance, even from a distance, could hit hard. And if they want to go really bold, then Palpatine, even just a short clip of him addressing the Senate or pulling the strings behind the ISB. Like, that would really drive home just how dangerous the rebellion's first steps truly were. All of this, the Death Star project, Cassian's transformation, the rebellion taking shape, it's lining up perfectly, because by the end of Season 2, we're not just getting a lead into Rogue One, we're getting the exact moment that story begins. As we spoke about earlier, the final episode reportedly ends right before Cassian's first scene, meaning this isn't just a prequel anymore, it's the final chapter before war truly begins. So yeah, for me, Andor isn't just another Star Wars story, it's the story that makes the original trilogy hit even harder. We've seen how the Empire rose to power through the prequels, but this is the other half of that equation. This is how the rebellion truly began, the people who risked everything long before there was even a Rebel Alliance, or a Death Star trench run, or a Jedi to save the day. And for me, that's why Andor matters so much, because if you grew up loving the original trilogy, the fight for freedom, the scrappy underdogs going up against the massive force of evil, this show adds the weight behind it, the sacrifice, the groundwork, really the reason any of that was possible. It shows us that rebellions aren't just built on hope, they're built on loss, on sacrifices, and the difficult choices that no one wants to make. And to me, that makes this the most important Star Wars story Disney has told and may ever tell, because without Andor within the story, the events of Rogue One and New Hope wouldn't have happened.
You know of the rebellion against the Empire?
Anyways, whose story are you most excited to see continue in Season 2? As always, drop your thoughts, theories, and wildest speculations down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming ones. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one, and may the Force be with you.